Mike, it's very much back in style to have a fondue party. That was really big several decades ago, and it's certainly back. And Janine Washley is here to show us how to do this, how to make different types of fondue at home with different flavors, and then what to do with everything. And you brought in ingredients because you can. It's not just melted cheese. There's more to it than that.
That is correct.
Okay.
Fondue started with the Swiss. Two Swiss shepherds met in the Alps. It was towards the end of the season when they were going to bring the sheep back down, and their food rations had been depleted, and one had some stale bread and another one had a hard piece of cheese, and they had about a bottle of wine between the two of them. So they thought, what if we dump the wine in a pot and then add the cheese to it, try to melt it down, and let's see what happens.
Dip the bread in there.
Yeah, and they had a wonderful meal. They brought it back to their families, and that's how it started.
Wow, how about that?
So that's the classic Swiss fondue. And there's some cornstarch right over here, and that's what you will add to the Swiss
type of cheese? Swiss cheese?
It's Swiss cheese, and it's a blend of Jarlsberg and Gruyere.
Okay.
And if I can get Emmentaler, I really like to add the Emmentaler. One is real buttery, and the other one has a nutty sharpness.
So what does the cornstarch do?
It actually breaks down the protein strands in the cheese. Otherwise, it would be really stringy.
Right.
But because of the cornstarch, it gets in with those molecules, and it makes us sure to. No, you can't skip that. It would be a mess. And then you get a wonderful stretch, you know, a nice stretch. You don't get this stringy mess that's going everywhere.
You've got to try to conquer somehow. Okay, and then you've got the wine simmering.
Yes, and this is a half-dry Riesling, a Halbtrocken Riesling, and that's actually my favorite. You can use a Chenin Blanc, you can use a Sauvignon Blanc, use a dry, light white wine.
Okay.
And then the garlic clove, I always drop my garlic clove in there. You're supposed to just rub the outside of the pot to give a suggestion of garlic. I like a little more than a suggestion.
Okay, and then you add the cheese?
Yes, and this is very important. You cannot rush this. This is kind of like risotto. You want to take about 30 minutes to make this.
Okay.
You take small handfuls, about this much, and you add it to the warm wine. And you don't want it to boil, and you just want it to melt. And once you see that this is melted, the little, you know, these very distinct grated pieces are melted into this. And this takes a few minutes, and then you just keep adding.
Don't add more until you've seen that everything's melted.
Otherwise, it gets really grainy.
Okay. Now, for people who go, well, I don't like Swiss cheese, there are plenty of options to get creative with this.
There really
are. You brought in ingredients. Now, this is for an Italian
Yes, this is called fondito, and this fondito is very mild. This is what I would call a summer fondue. This is great with grilled vegetables, potatoes, crusty bread, and very, very light.
Queso fondito, which people may have had at local restaurants.
Oh, yeah.
These are the ingredients to make that. So this is a little more of a Mexican twist on it. Is that chorizo?
Chorizo, Oaxaca enchilada cheese, readily available in supermarkets now, very easy to get. And there was a restaurant on Bardstown Road that had a wonderful queso fondito several years ago. I'll date myself if I tell you what the name of the place was.
Okay, you don't have to tell.
They put goat cheese in there, so I love putting goat cheese in there. It just adds this wonderful tang to it. It's delicious. But in the classic, this is what, it's basically the Gruyere, the Jarlsberg, nutmeg, Kirschwasser, and then your white wine.
All right, we've got all these recipes on our website, the Italian version, the Mexican version, and the traditional version, thanks to Janine, and you can find it at WDRB.com on the morning page. Now, Cloverfields Farm is in Big Clifty, Kentucky, and you can get in touch with Janine there. There's her phone number. We have her information on our page as well, and we're going to be back with more on how to make a dessert fondue. Stay with us.